everybody, Andy from Tennis Euphoria, and today I wanted to talk to you about a particular racket category that is becoming more and more popular here at Tennis Euphoria. I go as far as saying it's a bit of a new normal, is such a great category for the modern game that it's worth giving some identification to and worth chatting about. What is that category? Well, it would have frames within it that are 100 square inches, beam widths of typically sort of 22 to 24 millimeters, and we're talking about swing weights that are typically around about 320. There's a lot of frames that fit into that category, but I'm talking about it today because I'm hitting tomorrow for a second session with a customer who has been placed into that category. How it works here at Tennis Euphoria is the first stage of our service identifies someone's category for them. It's on-court based through a series of assessments. Then the second stage hits through a variety of rackets within the identified category. Yet again, this category has come up for this player, and I'll talk a bit about which sort of broad spectrum of player can access this category well. But what category am I talking about? What frames sit within it? So I think the head speed should be talked about first, because in many respects the speed line has probably helped to lead the way and almost identify within the marketplace this category. 100 square inches, 16 by 19, the MP. Of course there is the Speed Pro as well, which is 18 by 20 and a bit heavier. Both would fit into the same category for us, and this category delivers some access to forgiveness with 100 square inch head size, which is suitable for the modern game. Little bit of power, but ultimately still relatively controlled stick. I think some of the other brands have really started to move towards working on frames that really fit into this category, probably as more and more players are moving towards this sort of category of frame. So let's go through the other big manufacturers. Babolat, of course, in their Pure Strike line with their 100s. They have softened that up a bit, and the new 16 by 20 for us very much sits into that category. The gentleman tomorrow will be hitting with both of the speeds, and certainly the Babolat Strike 100 16 by 20. Wilson. Of course, the Wilson Blade 100 fits into this category. This is the V8, and he'll hit with the V9 tomorrow. But again, a really good offering from Wilson. It's within their control line, their blade line, but it's 100 square inches, 16 by 19, fits into that same sort of beam width. You've got a bit more power than the 98s, but you still have control, a bit more forgiveness as well. On X. So they, of course, within their control lines now have a very good offering with the 100. This racket is hugely improved. I strongly suspect that they're very aware of this category and are working hard to make this frame as good as it can be. And that is a very, very solid competitor to the Speed MP. And now, of course, you have the 100D, which probably has one nod towards the Speed Pro. So Yonex have the Persit 100 and the 100D. Mentioning the Dunlop CX 400 Tour, another 100 square inch frame. This is just about to be reviewed actually next week, so subscribe. I loved the previous edition. There is changes to this one, but again, that is a really solid offering within this category. Then two that you're perhaps not thinking about is a fantastic frame, the Prince Tours 100. Both of them are great, but I think the 310 with a 16 by 18 string pattern is my personal favourite, and the gentleman will get to hit with that tomorrow as well. Excellent frame, good competitors to the Speed, lovely feel, but fits into that same category of offering some more forgiveness than the typical control 98, 97s, a bit more power too, but also a nice amount of control and feel. Head do have a lot of variety in their ranges, but we actually include the Boom MP. 100 square inches, really nice feel with this 62 RA in this most recent edition of the Boom MP. And I actually think with a bit of customization, taking the swing weight up to 320, because a lot of them we found come under spec in that regard, this actually fits in. It is controllable, it can fly a little bit, so it's probably pushing on that sort of power range, and the power range are our sort of pure drives, Wilson Ultras, etc. we identify as a very different category. What players are being categorized by this? Well, we're finding there's two distinct groups. Players that are perhaps using power frames at the moment, and then in some assessments are lacking control, and their games are improved by retaining some power from these frames, but they get more control. The other, of course, is people who, perhaps in the nicest way, maybe kidding themselves a little bit, playing with, control rackets that don't offer a lot of power. We find that when you run some assessments, sometimes people playing with 97s, 95s, 98s will perform much better when they're playing with this category of frame. They are still able to control the ball and play how they want to, but that little bit more access to forgiveness and power, particularly in the modern game, does help them. So I think this category, 100 square inch, circa 320 swing weight, 22 to 24 inch beams, is a really sort of solid category that's going to continue to develop. Are there any that I've missed? Any others that you'd put into that same category? I'd love to hear your comments and thoughts on that. In the meantime, beautiful day. You're going to do a bit of training now. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.